you worked in pharma for a little bit, and then you decided it was time to retire.
Right. Well, the pharmaceutical industry is a rather young industry.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, when I got my last job, the headhunter did not put my birth date on my CV. And when I was interviewed by the president of the company, he said to me, "Oh," he said, "you went to Smith. Was Hillary in your class?" Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
And I said, and I knew, click, click, he was trying to find out how old I was. And I said, "Hillary went to Wellesley."
Mm-hmm.
And he sort of argued with me a bit, and then he gave up.
Okay.
So I retired at probably as the oldest person in the company.
Yeah,
when I
that's
retired.
interesting. And even today, I think older people, if you're laid off, it's harder to find a job.
Yeah, so I was very lucky that I got the job.
Yes.
It was the most pleasing part of my professional career because I built teams up and we did some amazing things. We had animal models where we could actually do small animal MRI
Mm-hmm.
over at Mass General because they had a 14 Tesla magnet, and you could do studies in the models we had for multiple sclerosis. You could do them in small animals.
Oh,
So we
that's
could
amazing.
generate data with drugs that we were going to put into a human being using the very same readouts one would use in a clinical trial for MS. So it was very, very exciting.
Yeah.
And the technology and the infinite money available to do research in the pharmaceutical industry really made it fun.
Yeah, and I think that they were really lucky to have you with your background, with the CV that you brought with you and all the experiences.
I hope so.
For sure. So you retired, and so that kind of ended the pharmaceutical, the research, the medical part of the life. And everything that you've done since there has been continuing your nurturing, teaching, mentoring, learning. And so from there you went to work with your husband, Doug, and you went to work on a Native Vision program through Johns Hopkins,
Yes,
which brought you to the Southwest.
yes.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, Doug went to Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, and so he had a connection there, and we found that they had, because we were interested in Native American culture and everything, and he found out that they had a program through the School of Public Health, actually sponsored by, it was a sports program, sponsored by the National Football League's Players Association, and they brought all-American professional Olympic athletes from lacrosse, football, basketball, different sports, out to Shiprock, New Mexico, to get the kids involved in sports, to help them stay in school, to keep them from becoming addicted to drugs or alcohol, and to try to cut down on the horrendous rate of suicide among teenagers. A lot of the athletes had stories that they could share with these young Native kids about coming from poor backgrounds and sticking it out in school and, finding drive through doing things like sports. So Doug and I were asked to participate in a program that was kind of a workshop correlated with the work that they're doing in the sports area. It was entrepreneurship. So we worked with several groups from 9 years old to 19 years old, and one particular group was particularly fun. They were the 19-year-old boys who were cross-country runners, and the entrepreneurship program was for them to develop products or services that would better their life in their communities, on the reservation, on the pueblo, wherever. So these runners decided they were going to, their startup company was called the Desert Running Company, and they designed articles of clothing and footwear for running in the desert. And we filmed them, we made videos, made little commercials that were going to be shown when Martin Sheen had been brought out to teach the kids how to act, and they set up a program that they would show the parents at the end of this time that they were in at camp, called Saturday Night Live on the Res. And so they did all these skits that were hilarious, and the videos that we made of the children with their products or services. So we had the Desert Running Company. They would run up to the camera and they would say, this is a, wicks away sweat, it's a special kind of shirt or special kind of shoe. And then they had their logo in their native tongue and then in English, and they loved the videos. So they showed that as one of the commercials during this little program at the end of the summer camp. So we taught there, and that was very rewarding. We did, the second time we went, we helped the children on a pueblo in the Santo Domingo Pueblo plant an orchard, because Santo Domingo Pueblo is close to the Rio Grande, and they get water. So we did a lot of work with the kids to help them understand that their native foods and their native culture and their language was important, and staying in school was important.
And one other thing, one of your talents is photography. And everywhere you go, you take pictures, and your focus really is women. And I have, during our talk, I just want to bring out a few of those pictures. And this was one that you took in the Southwest.
Right.
And I'll show it to the camera here. And what impresses me about this picture is, first of all, the colors, the Southwest colors, but also how you really grasp the image, the face, the features, but how she's feeling. So can you tell me a little bit about this picture?
So the words I would use to describe this lady are defiant. Native people have to be. They've had a lot taken away from them. Proud, determined, and this was taken in Santa Fe. If you've been to Santa Fe, there's what is called the Governor's Square, and every day the Native people will bring the jewelry and things that they've made and line up and sit along the side of the square, and you can walk the length of this, and I asked permission. Usually, if you engage your subject before you hold the camera up, because camera's intimidating because it's big. But I usually, Doug and I, when we've traveled, have often tried to say a few words in a native language to break the ice, so to speak. So I said something to her and asked her about where she was from and engaged her a little bit, and had her tell me about her jewelry that she had made. And then I asked her, I said, I take photographs of women, and I really think you would be a big addition to my portfolio. Would you allow me to do that? And she did.